Hello aspirants, welcome to the new section of Vishwamayya's Academy, Class 7th, History, Our Past 2. These are the chapter names. Chapter 1 is Tracing Changes Through 1,000 Years. Let's focus into the important points. New and old terminologies. Historical records exist in a variety of languages which have changed considerably over the years. The grammar, vocabulary, and even the meanings of words change over time. The term Hindustan today means nation state, whereas in 13th century it meant only the areas of Punjab, Haryana, Ganga, Yamuna top. So first the Hindustan means Punjab, Haryana and Ganga, Yamuna top combination. Babar used the term to describe the geography, the fauna and the culture of the inhabitants of the subcontinent. The term foreigner meant a strange person, unlike today's meaning of a non-Indian person. Therefore, historians must be careful about the terms they use because they meant different things in the past. Historians and their sources. Historians use different types of sources to learn about the past depending upon the period of their study and nature of their investigation. So there are 2 points depending upon the period and investigation. They mainly rely on coins, inscriptions, architecture and textual records for information. So the main sources rely on coins, inscriptions, architecture and textual records. With the introduction of paper, the textual records increased significantly. People used it to write holy text, chronicles of rulers, letters and teachings of saints, petitions and judicial records, and for registers of accounts and taxes. So they using paper and textual records for these purposes. Manuscripts were collected by wealthy people, rulers, monasteries and temples. They were placed in libraries and archives. These manuscripts and documents provide a lot of detailed information to historians, but they are also difficult to use. There was no printing press in those days, so scribes copied manuscripts by hand and introduced small changes, a word here, a sentence there. These small differences grew over centuries of copying until manuscripts of the same text became substantially different from one another. This is a serious problem because we rarely find the original manuscripts of the author today. So first point, we talked about the sources and the introduction of paper and manuscripts, and the fourth point is there is no printing press, they used scribes copied manuscripts. And fifth point, we are totally dependent upon the copies made by later scribes. As a result, historians had to read different manuscript versions of the same text to guess what the author had originally written. Often authors revise their chronicles at different times. Example, Ziauddin Barani wrote his chronicle first in 1356 and another version 2 years later. So there is time gap. The two different from each other, but historians did not know about the existence of the first version until the 1960s. Next is new social and political groups. The study of 1,000 years between 700 and 750 is a huge challenge to historians, largely because of the scale and variety of developments that occurred over the period. New technologies made their appearance, like the Persian wheel in irrigation, the spinning wheel in weaving, and firearms in combat. New foods and beverages arrived in the subcontinent: potatoes, corn, chilies, tea, and coffee. So there is the innovative method coming forward, like new foods, new technologies, and these technologies and crops came along with people who brought other ideas with them as well, as resulting in social, economic and political cultural changes. This was also a period of great mobility. That movement, groups of people traveled long distance in search of opportunity. The subcontinent held immense wealth and possibilities for people to carve a fortune. A group of people called Rajputs became important in this period, and the term included not just rulers and chieftains but also soldiers and commanders who served in the armies of different monarchs all over the subcontinent. A chivalric code of conduct, that is, extreme valor and a great sense of loyalty, were the qualities attributed to Rajputs by their poets and bards. Other groups of people such as Marathas, Sikhs, Jats, Ahoms and Kayasthas, that is a caste of scribes and secretaries, also used the opportunities of the age to become politically important. Throughout this period, there was a gradual clearing of forest and the extension of agriculture. Changes in their habitat forced many forest dwellers to migrate. Others started tilling the land and became peasants. The new peasant groups gradually began to be influenced by regional markets, chieftains, priests, monasteries, and temples. They became part of large complex societies and were required to pay taxes and offer goods and services to local lords. There were significant economic and social differences emerged amongst peasants. As society became more differentiated, people were grouped into jatis or subcastes and ranked on the basis of their backgrounds on their occupations, like Brahmanas, Shudra, Kshatriya, Vaishyas, like that. Ranks were not fixed permanently and varied according to the power, influence, and resources controlled by the members of the jati. The status of the same jadi could vary from area to area. Jadis framed their own rules and regulations to manage the conduct of their members. These regulations were enforced by an assembly of elders described in some areas as the Jadi Panchayat. Several villages were governed by a chieftain. Together they were only one small unit of state. So there are few more points to discuss, like sections like region and empire, old and new religions, thinking about the time and historical periods. So we will see these three topics in the next video, so it will be easier to understand. Thank you.